The next pilot set will start at 9:28, also der nächste Vorschritt geht um 9:28 Uhr. In 3 Minuten.
Also der erste Bereich, die erste Erwärmung. Gut, dann machen wir mal.
Machst du den Vorsänger?
Tipp.
Hello, good morning and welcome to snowy Winterberg in Germany's Hochsauerland, colloquially known either as the Dutch Alps for the large number of skiers from the Netherlands who come here each winter, or Renn-Wochenende because that is usually the prevailing climate. But as you can see from our pictures and from the gloriously orange Axel Jungk fan club up at the start, it is snowing, and the forecast for the day is for lots more of the white stuff coming down, and it's actually coming down increasingly heavy now as we get close to the start of the 6th World Cup of our men's skeleton competition. Well, this track is one that is relatively well known to most of our field. It's regarded by many as a fairly benign track on which to introduce new sliders, but a big start here can be very, very influential in the men's race. Little kink from the new start house onto the original pass of the track, and then down into the Omega corner, turn 2. Now this corner really sets you up for speed as you start then to go uphill through 3, over a little brow in corner 4, and then you start to accelerate again as you drop down about 3 stories in turn 5, right by the donut stand. Corner 6 and into the Kreisel. 6 sets you up for the 3 pressure Kreisel, 2.5 pressures, and then out down into corners 8 and 9, and then 10, and from 10 into 11 this right-hander, and then down into the fast section at the bottom here, over 120 kilometers an hour, quickly into turn 14, and this is often where races are won or lost. You'll see athletes rolling out of the final corner, trying to get maximum speed. Well, after the first 5 races of the World Cup season, Christopher Groother, who was absent last time out in Sigulda, has lost the World Cup lead to Marcus Wyatt, and Matt Weston has moved up to 2nd place, and they have rather selfishly hogged pretty much all of the medals this season between them. Only 2 other sliders have been in the medals. Yin Cheng and Sammy Maier both got a bronze medal last time out in Sigulda. Yin Cheng also had a bronze in Beijing. There you can see the athletes working on their sleds. This was a little while ago, half an hour or so ago, in the Parc Fermé. There's Axel Jungk. His home track was Altenburg a couple of races before Christmas, and Christopher Groother back and ready to take on this track. Groother, the reigning world champion. The last race here was the World Championships in March last year. And Axel Jungk will be first off. Christopher Grotenhair goes off 7th. World Cup points leader Marcus Wyatt, 5th position. And in terms of the snow, well, it's a real lottery. Some of the track is covered, some of it is open. Snow will build up on the open parts when you're offline. And depending on your line, you could be good or not so good. 3 World Cup rookies in the field this weekend as well, in the men alone. So we are seeing some new names. We'll see new names in skeleton, new names in bobsleigh. Familiar name ready to get us underway here at the snowy Winterberg in Germany. Axel Jungk is first off in his 77th World Cup race. And how often do we have snow races here in Winterberg? Considering his reputation for rain, does seem to be quite frequent. Well, this has been a really good track for Axel. He's not been a winner here, but 5 of his 8 silver medals and 1 of his 8 bronze medals have come on this track. And he's going to be the guy who gives us an indication of what the weather is like. So the start light goes green. He has 30 seconds to leave the line and break the timing beam there. And then onto the sled. So what do we find? Well, 5:35 getaway, and then the little 0 curve down into the left-hand curve 1. There he is. And then into 2, the omega curve. Important not to come out late here and tap anywhere down through 3. This is absolutely flat and then starts to climb up towards turn 4. Over the little brow in 4, then starting this corkscrew down the hill in 5. Picking up speed now, 93 kilometers an hour already. Down into the Kreisel. Nice clean exit. And out of 9. The track pretty clean at the moment. He's the first man on after the track workers have finished sweeping the snow away. 1:31.6 down at the bottom of the track, and Axel Jungk is our race leader after just 1 sled. 57.39. Well, that's not going to be breaking any track records today. 55.25 is the track record set by Marcus Wyatt in the World Championships in February. February of this year. Oh no, February of 2024. He's 25 now, Martin, you fool. A little high maybe, Axel, there, but... Well, now, he's not happy with his run, or possibly with the weather, or possibly something else, but we will have to wait and see exactly where that leaves him. For China, Chen Wenhao. Best of 2 World Cups here for him was the last time out, 11th place in January 2023. He finished in 12th in the World Championships in February, 5:18. So considerably quicker away than Axel, but already steering with his toe down to corner 2. Not a great sign. 3100s up, but already you can see in the gaps between the roof over the track, snow is building up quickly. It's coming down fairly fast, isn't it? Second best speed, still in the green as he gets to the Kreisel. 2 pressures and neatly out. This track is all about millimetre precision. I mean, almost all of them are, but you can't wrestle the sled here. That will just hemorrhage time. Only 800s up. Second best speed. Axel was 1:31. 300s back at the line. Patrick Singleton, his coach, with a thumbs up there. Former Canadian slider. You can see how much snow has accumulated on his visor there, or is that just a mirrored visor? Yeah, big snow. And again here, look, really early on, if you drift out towards the edges, the snow flurries sort of blow out there.
Hello. Crazy.
Yeah. It's a Winterberg weekend. Forecast is not brilliant for the entire weekend. Now, Sammy Maier, bronze medalist for the second time in his career, last time out in Sigulda. 4 World Cup races here, plus the World Championships and 2 Junior Worlds. Hasn't actually raced in a World Cup race here since January 2022, gets a lot of the zero curve. A 5:22 start, sort of negated by that bump up the wall. And again, you can see, looking at the track, there are areas where there's already very snowy patches, and here's a classic bit of it. Came pretty straight through there. 4,600s up at the last split, so he's in the green and building that advantage. Sammy Maier, nice looking run down to the Kreisel. Now, if you're a good glider, if you can feel the ice, you can really build speed low down on this track. 7/10 of a second up from Sammy Maier. 98.9 compared to 98.7 of Axel Jungk. Little rocking and rolling down at the bottom, second best speed, quicker than Chen Wen-Hao, and 6/10 up, 56.80. 10th place, his best World Cup result here. And Sammy was 13th in the Worlds in February. That was vintage Sammy Maier, nice smooth lines, but this, oh, he'll be regretting that. That's got to be worth a good 10th of a second at the bottom.
Okay, im zweiten nochmal Angriff.
You will see a lot of sliders getting up on that little zero kink. It's really hard to negotiate, and harder still for bobsleds. Now, Yan Cheng of China, 3rd in the World Championships. He and Marcus Wyatt in 4th place were separated after 4 heats by just 1/100th of a second. So Yan Cheng ended up with that World Championship medal for China. Little delay at the start, the sweeping is going on. So the sweeping protocols tend to be maybe every 3rd sled, or if it's really snowing, every 2nd sled sometimes. But here we go, getting ready to get underway. Joint bronze medalist with Sammy Maier last time out in Sigulda as well. So he went into Christmas on a high, 5.50, not a great getaway for Yan Cheng. So slowest start, lowest velocity as well. 2800s to 7200s back. Now, despite getting a lot of the zero kink, Sammy Maier had a really good top. You could just see a little drifting slide there out of 4 to 5. Hits a bit on 6, down into the Kreisel. Great viewing area there. There'll be a band usually at the weekend. He is rocking and rolling here quite a lot, Yan Cheng. This is not a World Championship bronze medal winning run, or by any stretch, is it? This is a shocker, 1.5 seconds back on Sammy Maier at the line. Wow. Wow, what happened there? World Cup best of 12th here 2 years ago. 2 Europa Cup wins as well. Only 1 World Cup and 1 World Championship at the senior level on this track. And this is nothing like any of the runs that he put in to take a World Championship bronze in February 2024.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year indeed. That's not quite Kung Hoi Fat Choi, but we're getting close to Chinese New Year. World Cup points leader, yellow jersey, Marcus Wyatt. Second time in his career that he has worn the yellow jersey. Last time was after Whistler, the season opener 2 years ago, when he won in Whistler. 5:20, good strong start from Marcus. Only once off the podium this season, and that was a 4th place finish in Beijing. 200s up on Sammy Maier to 1200s back. Wow. And Sammy Maier somehow made capital from a good track conditions and break in the weather. Is the track suddenly slowing down or dramatically slowing down right from the start? Marcus a quarter of a second back now. Not the tightest looking run, only the third best speed. World Cup fourth, World Championship fourth, his best results here. Second at the line, but half a second back. Now what does that tell us? Coaches may know more. We're going to have to wait and see a little bit longer what happens with the track. We'll wait to see how much snow there is at the start area, and you can see it's really filling up the grooves as well. They're not really sweeping those very efficiently.
What can you do?
Not much. You just got to get in and get on with it. 5 into our massive field of 39 athletes here in Winterberg. Sammy Maier leads for Austria in the first heat, race 6 of the IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup. We're in Winterberg in Germany. First 5 sleds have gone on a very snowy morning. Next up is the Dane Rasmus Johansson. Rooms with Christopher Groothair, trains with the German team. 15th World Cup start for him. He was 16th in the World Championships here in February 24. Gets a lot of the zero curve, but handles it well. 5:35 is not a bad getaway for the Dane. How does he come out of Omega? Kind of okay. Doesn't really have the speed, I think, to hold the lines that he was looking for. 3700s back. 4th place at the start, 4th on the splits. Nice run from 6 down to the Kreisel. 270 degrees the Kreisel here, not the full 360. Into 9, sets you up for the bottom of the track, and then you whistle down through 10, 11, 12, 13, and then down into the final corner, 14. Does he have what the Germans have, the ability to really build speed towards the line? Wow, 5th place, 7900s back. It's his first World Cup race on this track. Junior World Championship silver medalist here, though, in January 2023. And has raced here in Europe Cup, Intercontinental Cup, and, of course, in the Worlds in February 24. So Junior Worlds 23, Senior Worlds 24 on this track. Now makes his World Cup debut in Winterberg.
Ja, nimm mir. Hallo Ling.
He's always a happy bunny. So too Christopher Groothair. Sometimes he looks a little hard to read. But boy, he is a passionate competitor. World champion for the 3rd time in his career on this track in February. He's been a race winner here in the World Cup as well. So he's won his last 2 outings on this track, 5:30. Now we're going to get an indicator compared to Sammy Maier, but particularly compared to Marcus Wyatt, of what this track is like. 2nd best velocity, 800s back at the start. Zero curve was good, 1300s back. Doesn't need the gap to grow anymore down to the Kreisel. Out of 5, had to steer it onto 6. 2nd best velocity, 1600s. Now, can he bring it back to Sammy Maier? Can he grab the lead in the bottom part of the track? 3rd best speed. Not so strong, maybe out of 9. Out of 11, where are we? He's not gaining. 2100s, not enough, surely. 2nd best speed, but behind Axel Jungk in terms of top speed. Closes to 1600s back. That was a really classy run from Christopher Groothair. Sammy Maier leads, Groothair 1600s back. Marcus Wyatt is 3 times that margin behind. excellent form, and of course, wherever you're from, the German sliders know this place intimately. They spend so much time training here pre and post season. They often have team trials in Winterberg, and of course now there's no Koenigsee. They only have 2 tracks on which to train. Next up for Germany, Felix Kaisinger, the 26-year-old. Christopher Groother, incidentally, in his 80th World Cup race today. Leader Sammy Maier in his 40th. And Kaisi in his 39th. 4 World Cups here, best of 4th place in January 2021. 5:17, excellent starting. Junior World Championship gold medalist on this track in 2020. He's had a load of Junior World Championships run on this track. Tied for the lead, so losing a little ground to Sammy Maier. Hasn't had quite the season this year that Sammy has. Sammy lying 4th in the World Cup standings. And Kaisi in 7th place. But he's in there swinging. 2nd best. Ahead of Groother up to that stage, but not as much speed on board now as his teammate, so he's dropping back into 3rd. Will be ahead of Marcus Wyatt at the line. 4th best speed. It's not going to be a big advantage. 2500's back. It is actually larger than I thought. He found more speed at the bottom. So it's an all-German-speaking podium, with Sammy Maier leading from Christopher Groother and Felix Kaisinger. Then Marcus Wyatt in 4th, Axel Jungk 5900s back in 5th. Every detail of the athlete's performance now recorded for posterity in training. Coaches out on the key corners. Oh, that could have been a lot better start.
Das ist Zustopp. Ist es krank?
For Ukraine, Vladislav Heraskevych, 10th in the World Championships in February last year. His 60th World Cup race. Turns 26 in a couple of a week and a half's time. 300s up on the leader Sammy Maier with a 5:19 getaway. Still in the green, 300s of a second up. Tiny margins here for Vladislav Heraskevych. Slips into 2nd on the split times. You can see that on the right-hand side of your screen. On the left is the speed, 3rd best velocity in the Kreisel. Now he's got good form, Vlad. World Cup best here of 11th, 10th in the Worlds in February, the last race on this track at the senior level. 1600s back, ahead or tied with Christopher Groother at the line. Ahead of Christopher Groother. What a big run. Big applause and a huge smile from his dad. What a big run from Vladislav Heraskevych. Now he's got to produce a 2nd one in the 2nd heat. And that tantalising 1st ever World Cup medal might become a reality. It's a really good run. The snow does seem to have let up as well.
З Новим роком, Україна! Всі красиво зберігають оптимізм.
It comes and goes, but that was a big run from Vladislav Heraskevych. Now then, Matt Weston for Great Britain, silver medalist in the World Championships here. He's only had 5 races on this track. 2 World Cups, Junior Worlds, Worlds, and his first race back in Europe Cup in 2019 on this track. Little toast here to get him into the zero kink off a 5:15 start. With Matt Weston starting 5:15, 5:19 from Vladislav Heraskevych is an absolute monster getaway. First man to still have a lead over Sammy Maier was Vladislav. Now Matt Weston also holds that lead. 300s up on Maier. big first pressure. Comes clean out of the Kreisel, but he's slipped behind. Out of 9. Can he build speed in the lower part of this track? 400s back. This is going to be very tight, but only the 6th best speed should be second at the line. Is second at the line. Wow.
400 of a second behind. Finish time.
56.84. Martin Stukur's the most successful skeleton slider on this track, in the men's game at least. Takes the sled.
Race.
Well, they're out of 6, just coming on the wrong side into the Kreisel, and there's the result, up towards the woodwork. You need to be more on the sliders right coming in to get onto the corner nicely.
That Kreisel. Let's go. Love you, Alex.
Had a nice Christmas haircut as well, if you like that sort of thing. Sammy Maier, Matt Weston and Vladislav Heraskevych, the top 3. Wow, that's an interesting second 5 sliders. Next up, Austin Florian. Now, this might be a track that plays well to his strengths. He was 9th in the Worlds. 6 World Cups here and the World Championships. 5:23 getaway gets a lot of the zero curve. See the Axel Jungk fan club already on their way down to the finish to watch the second heat from the grandstands at the bottom. 2600s back. He was only 100th off Sammy Maier at the start. Is this going to be an equipment runner choice issue? Only the 10th best speed. 8th on the split still for Austin Florian. Still 8th on the splits. Just consistently losing ground at every split to Sammy Maier. And be around 9/10ths back at the bottom. Okay, 8200s back. But a 10th place run for Austin Florian. It's a huge field, that might not be a top 10 finish. Speed is in the track somewhere to be found. But as in motor racing, where the tyres are such a critical element of your speed, so it is with runners in bobsleigh and skeleton. And if you are choosing your runners for a colder track or a warmer track than you get, you tend to end up effectively in the wrong position on the wrong tyre. Dan Barefoot for the USA next up, the 34-year-old starting his first World Cup here. He was here in the Worlds in February. 5:37. Knocking on the door of top 20 finishes this season. And by knocking on the door, I mean he was 21st, 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 and then 23rd in Sigulda. So he's made the cut in every race. Looking to improve on that. It's his first World Cup race on the track, so as with a lot of the tracks outside North America, still building experience. 11th place, ahead of Yen Cheng of China. Chasing teammate Austin Florian, who's in 10th place. He's not going to get to him. And at the line, 1.24 back. A combination here of relative paucity of experience on the track. He has raced here 3 different races in the Intercontinental Cup when that existed as the second tier of sliding. But, oh dear. Yeah, sprinting on ice, possibly as difficult as you thought it might be. Well picked up there, didn't see that live. Guys, Bogo and Tomek in EVS, picking up like nothing misses them. Nothing. Now then, for Korea, Kim Ji-soo, 18th place in the World Championships in February 24. 4 World Cup races here, 2 14th place finishes. His first World Cup here was a 6th, his most recent was a 5th. So which of the Kim Ji-soos are we getting today? The top 5 or the barely in the 15? Well, it was a top 5 start. 5:07 is the fastest getaway so far. 1200s up. Straight down the middle of the track, but already in the red compared to our leader, Sammy Maier. Only the 12th best speed, and the snow is starting to come down a little bit more heavily again, and the moisture in the air definitely affecting the track. And then if snow blows in, that really affects the track as well. 5200s back in 7th place on the splits from the fastest start. Only shocker in corner 14. Dropped down, came back up, nearly rolled off the wall across the finish line. 57.46. Very pensive looking coach Jeff Payne. Well, his best on this track, a 5th place finish. His most recent on this track, 18th in the World Championship. So that's sort of more an 18th than a 5th, isn't it? Oh, look at that. Really getting thrown around off 6. Not liking that run at all, Kim. 14th of our 39 starters for Switzerland is Vincent Buff, the 23-year-old. His first World Cup here, raced in the Junior Worlds in 23, in the Senior Worlds in 24. Finished in 16th place, tied with Rasmus Johansson. Let's see how he goes. 5:70, not the fastest start we'll see. Giving away 6,300s at the start to Kim Ji-soo. Now he's a stylish looking slider, long and lean. He's got relatively narrow shoulders, and that's good for aerodynamics as well. Already 1.4 seconds back at the Kreisel. Dan Barefoot, 12th of our 13 sliders so far. It was 1.24 back at the end of the run. 11th best speed. This is going to see him at the tail of the field after 14 sleds. Vincent Buff, 58.63, 14th place out of 14. And he is 1.83 seconds back, and that might leave him in danger of making the cut. 39 sleds, 25 go through. So more than a third of all the athletes in the changing room will go back after the first heat and not start preparing for a second. Certainly wasn't the world's worst ride. Not the tidiest. He knows he's in potential trouble, but let's see what the rest of the weather and the rest of the run brings. Amedeo Bagnis of Italy, 7th in the World Championships, the 25-year-old. 4 World Cups, 2 Junior Worlds and the World Championship. He's raced at every level on this track. 5:12 getaway, second fastest start of the morning. Quicker than Matt Weston. And a 10th up at the start over Sammy Maier, which is now 700s deficit. So how quickly has he lost 0.2 of a second to Maier? Well, in the first 3 or 4 corners is the answer. Out of 6, onto the Kreisel. Speed is not there for anybody, is it? Everybody's been 10th, 11th, 12th fastest. All right, we are getting towards the bottom of the top 15 sliders, and they are ranked on merit. But nevertheless, it is not the track that it was at the beginning, or is it? 7th best speed for Amadeo Banis at the bottom, and 7th at the line. Well, his World Cup best is 8th on this track. He finished in 7th in the World Championships in February 24. So that is on a par, potentially, with that. Coach Willi Schneider in the background. Look at all the snow that the sled is leaving behind as it ploughs through that groove. And he's unusual in using that right-hand groove as the slider sees it. Barocca. Well, from Amadeo Banis to his teammate Mattia Gaspari. The second of 3 Italians, with Sammy Maier leading after the first 15 sleds. 7 World Cups and 2 World Championships here, because he was competing in the Worlds back in 2017 as well. Best on this track of 15th place. He was a Junior World Championship bronze medalist, though. That was back in 2016. Had his first World Cup start here on the 3rd of January 2014. 11 years today. This is a really nice looking run from Mattia Gaspari so far. 5th best speed. This might be the first time that Mattia and Willi Schneider have got the setup absolutely spot on. 4th best speed. It's a top 6 run for Mattia Gaspari. The track on which he made his World Cup debut 11 years ago. 6th at the line. Big run for Mattia. And a look of satisfaction, if not exactly a smile, on the face of his coach. 57.09. Nice work, my
not Renniberg.
Yeah, not Renniberg, indeed. What a good-looking run. Dipped a little, climbed a little there, so that needs attention. Well, the key to this sport is getting 2 that look pretty, not just 1. Now then, Germany's rookie this season, the 22-year-old Lukas Heidegger, Junior World Championship bronze medalist here in January 23. 2 Europe Cup wins, a podium in ICC. Of course he has, he's a German slider. 5.26, just 400ths off the leader Sammy Maier at the start. But only the 8th best velocity. Snow in those grooves is not helping. 1400s back. Now, 11th fastest start for Lukas Heidegger, already up to 10th on the splits. 5th best speed at the Kreisel. Up to 8th on the splits. 7th best speed out of 9. Here we go. This is where the Germans know all the tricks. 7th on the splits. Top 6 run at the line. How close to Gaspari? Not that close. 1300s back. So, our World Cup rookie having a good, strong run into 7th place, ahead of the points leader Marcus Wyatt, ahead of Amadeo Banis, an Olympic championship, a World Championship silver medalist, rather, ahead of Axel Jungk, his teammate. Well, this is his home track, so clearly he feels good here. From one rookie, we go to another. Chu Haifeng, like Lukas Heidegger, in his 6th World Cup of his career, started in Pyeongchang at the beginning of this season on the World Cup trail. and really very limited experience here. Raced here in Europe Cup in 2021, ICC 2022, Europe Cup again last season, and then this is his first World Cup here. So just 3 race weekends on the track. Lucas Neidinger, who we just saw, has probably done as many runs in one pre-season period. Really strong run so far, though. Second best start, 5:11, and he's 4th on the splits. Oh, little touch there. It's drifting away a little. Maybe the setup isn't quite what he needs. But again, it's that lack of experience compared to the front runners. But boy, when that comes, he's got the start. 57.54, just outside the top 10. Second best start. He had great velocity, though. He built his lead on Sammy Maier. And that little touch coming out down into corner 9, not helping. Sent him late on the exit as well, flopping and falling into 10.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. 3rd of January, we're back in the office. And don't forget, these skeleton athletes and the bobsleigh athletes were here all over the New Year break as well. Skeleton training Sunday and Monday. Lin Qingwei for China, 25, a year younger than Xu. But like Xu in his first season, 5:07, equal fastest start of the competition. Fantastic getaway from these 2 young Chinese sliders. Now, the other man who started with a 5:07 was Kim Ji-soo of Korea, who's down in 12th. Chu Haifeng just behind him in 13th. Can Lin parlay his start into a better finish? Can he challenge for the top 10? He's tied with the leader at the Kreisel, maintaining that velocity well. Ooh, little steer on the exit. Hits going down into 9. Velocity going away rapidly. They are so close on this track. Another one of those that we always say, easy to get down, not easy to get down fast. At the line, 9th place, 57.34, 0.2 of a second quicker, 0.2 of a second quicker than his teammate. So Lin Qingwei, who is 17th in the World Cup standings, ahead of Chu Haifeng by a handful of points. Happy New Year indeed, really easing away from his teammate with that run. And somehow kept the velocity in the lower part of the track, despite a couple of mistakes below the Kreisel. That probably felt fast as well. That's 6 into 7. Alexander Schlittner from Austria now. 26-year-old in his 23rd World Cup race. He'll finish 20th in the World Championships. It's really snowing now, isn't it? This is not helping anybody. You lose so much at the start if you're running into the wind and into the snow. '18th best getaway from the 20th athlete in the field. He's a well-disciplined slider, keeps his form well. That's something that you learn from day one in Innsbruck. That's where we'll be next week, in 2 weeks' time, rather. First trip to St. Moritz for the circus next week. No skeleton in Innsbruck, though, so all these athletes will go back to training. I expect Alex Schlittner might well be in Innsbruck. At the bottom of the run, as he started, 18th place, 58.25. So behind Rasmus Johansson, 15th, behind Austin Florian, 16th, behind Daniel Barefoot, 17th, but Yencheng and Vincent Buff, 19th and 20th behind him. And that's starting to build the safety margin. That should be enough to get him into the second heat. We've got 3 debutants coming up in the field, and quite a number of sliders who are here in their first World Cup race, and with relatively limited experience, but sometimes, and I think he felt that, the weather comes to get you. And when the weather's not consistent, what are you going to do? 20 sleds down, Sammy Maier leads here in Winterberg. A snowy day for the first runs of the new year, and Vladislav Heraskevych of Poland is back with us. His first World Cup here in Winterberg, was here in the World Championships in February 24, finished in 30th place. It's only his 6th World Cup start. Has yet to make the cut in his previous 5 outings. Is today going to be the day? Well, 20th best start is a start, 5:57 at the moment. Vincent Buff 20th, Yencheng 19th. He's in 20th place, and the key now is going to be the split on the right-hand side. Don't forget, top 25 will go through. So if you start inside start draw number 26, you know that when you leave the block, you're in the race unless you crash. It's what happens after your run when it's out of your hands that makes the difference. 21st, so he's dropped behind the rest of the field. And across the line, 59.07. So he's 59.57, 59.07 rather, 5.57 start. He's 2.2 seconds back. Vincent Buff is 1.8 seconds back. I think you're definitely going to have to be within 2 seconds of the leader to make the race. We have to wait and see what the weather brings, particularly for the less experienced athletes coming up. Clearer conditions will help. Well, it's not over yet. Now then, the first of our rookies from the Netherlands, Yuri van Kupperveld, 29-year-old former hurdler. His 3rd season only on ice. He raced here in the Europe Cup 23 and 24. Nice smooth looking run so far. 19th best start, 20th on the splits. But only 2 race weekends on this track. It's the closest track to the Netherlands, so I'm sure friends and family have come to see his World Cup debut. 22nd place run, so behind Poland's Vladislav Heraskevych at the moment. And his target, I'm sure, for the first race will be to do as well as he possibly can, get those first race jitters out of the way. Has he got enough for a top 20? He doesn't at the moment. 59.33. So welcome to the World Cup, Yuri van Kupperveld from the Netherlands. The Dutch programme in bobsleigh and skeleton is growing. Their title sponsor, Newcold, and the Dutch Federation really pushing development of these sliders. The former US slider Mike Rogels is helping with their coaching. So does he make the second heat? It's going to be a long while maybe till he finds out. Next up, Timon Jarnowski from the Czech Republic. It's only his 7th World Cup race. 21-year-old making his first World Cup start here in Winterberg. Raced here before in Europe Cup last November, November 24. And previous season, oh, big skid there, big steer. Previous season he was under 20 bronze medalist in the Junior World Championships here. But still relatively new to sliding, relatively inexperienced on this track as well. And at this stage, all you can do is try and produce your best run and see what everybody else has got. Into the Kreisel. A little bit of a wavy line that you get with the skeleton. Don't have the mass to hold a sort of constant parabola like the bobsleigh, and if you try, it ends up a bit of a disastrous mess at the end. Not too bad at all. 22nd at the start, 23rd on the splits. How close to Jahr van Kupperveld? Not close enough. 4 tenths back, 4100ths back. And are we now seeing that the snow is going to shut down the runs? Well, with the less experienced sliders, consistency is hard to find. Knowledge of the track is going to be, as we said, considerably less. This is his 3rd race on this track. 4th race on this track. 26th in the world in February, though. But again, I think he feels that that would have been a better run with less snow, and that's hard to argue against. Lawrence Bostock of Great Britain returns to the World Cup for the first time since Lake Placid, December 2022. Last 2 seasons he's been racing in the Intercontinental Cup and Europe Cup. 5:11 getaway. Still only 25, Lawrence. This is his 7th World Cup race. He's been an occasional performer for Great Britain in the World Cup. He's taken over the spot that Craig Thompson had before Christmas, New Year. 3rd fastest start, out to 10th place. 19th best speed, out to 13th position. Whoa! And again having to fight the sled because the speed's not where it should be to hold the lines that he knows. He feels where the sled wants to go. 17th, should make the 2nd heat, but it's a very different track at the moment from how it was 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. And that's 5 or 7 sleds. The last, certainly 4 or 5, have really had very different conditions from most of their peers. So not a lucky break for Lawrence Bostock. Comes across the line 17th, 700ths behind Austin Florin of the USA. Late exit, and then hard onto 10. Yeah. Going to be a lot of shrugging going on. Now, our second of 3 rookies from Korea. Yo Chan-hyuk turned 23 just 2 weeks ago. So he was a very nearly Christmas baby. First race, March 2022. He's done 4 North America's Cup races. All the rest have been in the Asia Cup, where he has had 3 straight wins. So this young man being fast-tracked in, as the previous front runners for Korea have effectively vanished. 19th at the start with a 5:41, 21st on the splits, so first time racing on this track. This is a pretty impressive rookie performance. 23rd place. So ahead of Jahr van Kupperveld and Timon Drahanovski. Can he hang on there? It's not a bad looking run, is it? For somebody who's making his debut at this track, 59.23. So currently 23rd, 23rd with 2 sleds behind him. I think there is a chance that might be enough. We'll have to wait and see. Still a lot to get through. Yo is the 25th of 39 athletes, and I'm afraid on this track, pinballing from wall to wall is absolute deadly to your speed. Well, the second of our debutants in the World Cup. Sammy Maier, Weston, Vladislav Heraskevych is your top three after the first 25 sleds. Next up, another returning World Cup slider, Peter Macready's. Raced in Pyeongchang and has been doing Europe Cup since then. His only race here was Europe Cup in 2018. Peter making his 5th World Cup start for Australia. 2 Aussies in the field today, and not brothers. So 5:51, 23rd fastest getaway, and 22nd on the splits. And this is clawing yourself up the greasy pole. 21st on the splits, down to the Kreisel. He had a bump coming out of 6, a flop coming out of the Kreisel, keeping the speed alive. 23rd on the splits, 2 sleds, 3 sleds behind him. If he can just hang on here, it's just ebbing away. Ooh. Not a great 14, rolls over the line, there you go, the victory roll very nearly, 59.62. 25th at the line, Peter. Timon Drahanovsky will not get a second heat. At the moment, Peter Macready's of Australia is on the bubble. Well, the top half was definitely tidier than the bottom, but it all got away from him a little. Oof. That was quite uncomfortable. And 14 up and down like the Assyrian Empire, and didn't quite complete the roll over the line. Peter Macready's is 25th, so he's the man in the drop zone. And Luca De Faye, who was 19th in the World Championships here in February 24, should be the man to go ahead of him. It's Luca's first World Cup on this track, in fact, like a number that we've got coming up. But he raced here in the Worlds in February, 2 Junior World Championship outings here in Winterberg as well, and ICC and Europe Cup. So he does know the track. Start was decent, 16th fastest, 5:35. It's only his 3rd World Cup this season. He didn't do the Asian races. 17th out to 18th, but the speed is decent, 16th best speed. Quicker than we've seen for a long while. 14th best speed. This is going to help him. This is a run, I think, that's going to see him into the second heat. Where's he going to end up? 18th, 17th, somewhere between Dan Barefoot, Lawrence Bostock, Austin Florian at the line, it's 18th. It was hovering around there all the way down, wasn't it? 57.87 for Luca De Faye. And another classy looking slide from the Frenchman. He's got the experience of the track and he made it pay. Firmly in the top 20. Yeah, it's cold. Cold morning. Space for rent on the sled of Giovanni Marchetti. Our Italian rookie this season. First World Cup here. Has 2 Europe Cup race weekends under his belt in 2021 and 2023 here. 6th World Cup. Missed the cut in Altenburg, where he was only 27th. But his World Cup best result, 17th place from race 2 in Pyeongchang. 22nd getaway, 5:45. Well, has a little more experience of this track than he did the tracks in Asia, but nevertheless, at a knowledge deficit to a lot of sliders, but he has got a really good look about him on a sled. Coming in the pre-Olympic year, and not just a pre-Olympic year, the pre-home Olympic year, What a massive acceleration he's going to have of knowledge and experience to try and really do himself justice at the home games. 22nd at the start, 22nd on the splits. That little late flop, though, as he came into the lower labyrinth, is starting to cost him. 23rd at the line, ahead of Vladislav Heraskevych. So he is in, and Peter Macready's is out. Yuri van Kupperveld is out as well. He does not get a second run on his debut. 58.87. Is that enough? Well, let's say if you don't get a 58.8, you don't get into the race. I think that is possibly going to be the way. Again, all at 6s and 7s there. Couldn't hold the line. Sled came down earlier than he needed it to. It happens. Knowledge is everything. Jaroslav Lavrenyuk, our Youth Olympic silver medalist from February 2024, then came and raced in the Senior Worlds in February 2024, took 27th place. He's done a Junior Worlds and 2 other race weekends here at the lower level. So again, knowledge is power, knowledge is speed, knowledge is everything in this business. Without knowledge, you can't be fast and consistent. But Lavrenyuk certainly has plenty of potential. 5.80, 29th fastest start, up to 28th. Can the teenager drive himself into the field? Just 17, made his debut when he was still only 16. It's a nice looking run, isn't it? And don't forget his teammate Vladislav Heraskevych, 3rd at the moment. Oh, Lavrenyuk's not going to make it into the field. That's a little bit disappointing, I think. 59.48. I think in clearer conditions he might have had a chance there. Well, his first World Cup here, his 9th World Cup start already at just 17. And in the middle of that run, between the first and now, he fitted in a Youth Olympic Games and a World Championship appearance here. Youth Olympic Games weren't here, they were in Pyeongchang, but you know.
Всіх з Новим роком, всю Україну, всю родину вітаю, всіх друзів з Новим роком.
Next up for the USA, Nick Tucker, our 3rd and final World Cup debutant this morning. 29-year-old, raced here twice in Europe Cup in December 24. It's only his 3rd season. 5.13 getaway, a really quick starter. We're sort of expecting that. Only time we've seen him at the top level before was in Lake Placid last season, where he was in the Push World Championships, finished 8th. Now part of the World Cup team. What a good run. 6th best start. He was up to 4th early on with that velocity. Still in the top 10 at the Kreisel. Head up though, he's looking for the line. Just outside the top 10. This is an epic debut from Nick Tucker of the USA. Across the line in 13th place. What a run! What a run! Well, Nick Tucker is in, and one of our fellow debutants, Axel Jungk from Korea, is out. That is epic from Nick Tucker. Dan Barefoot in 20th for the USA, Austin Florian in 17th for the USA, Nick Tucker in 13th for the USA. First World Cup start. And despite all the snow in the grooves, producing a booming start. What a run. Now then, Also from the USA, but sliding for Ghana, lives in Lake Placid in Salt Lake City. Akwasi Frimpong. Akwasi making his 9th World Cup start as a skeleton slider, after making his World Cup debut in a 4-man bobsleigh for the Netherlands as a brakeman. Raced in the World Championships to 28th place, his only previous race on this track. 5:61 getaway. World Cup best of 19th place in Beijing last season. Akwasi desperately short of knowledge on this track, and this season has been a season of firsts, taking on more tracks, trying to build that knowledge, build back his fitness. Is still rehabbing injury. Little hard hit off 6 into 7. Rocking and rolling from 8 into 9. Oh. Flops out into 10, out of 11. Exit 11 is really critical for speed down at the bottom. Coming across the line in 31st place, 60.50. Well, a team of 1 from a tiny winter federation of Ghana, being helped out by all and sundry with coaching and assistance. And of course, trying to build up to make his 2nd Winter Games. It's getting tougher and tougher as the IOC reduce the number of athletes in the competitions across the board. And that means your World Cup standings are absolutely crucial.
Thanks for watching, appreciate it.
2018 Winter Olympian, his wife and 2 kids probably, hopefully, still fast asleep as he slides back in Salt Lake City. Livio Sumamata now, Youth Olympic bronze medalist in St. Moritz 2020. 13th World Cup start and his first on this track. 5:29 getaway. 60th fastest start. Great little clip online from our social media crew about New Year's resolutions. This was just to try and improve and get better every day. Well, that's absolutely a resolution for every athlete in the field, I think. 16th at the start, still a top 20 run as he gets to the Kreisel. Look at the number on the far right of your screen. That's his split time at the moment. He's in the top 20, ahead of Alex Schlindner of Austria. And Schlindner and Livio Sumamata, very similar so many times over the last couple of seasons of their World Cup careers. Still in the top 20, Sumamata at the line, slips a couple to 22nd. That should be enough. Livio Sumamata is in for now, and just ahead of teammate Vincent Buff. And out has gone Yeo Chan-hyuk. So Vladislav Polivac at the bottom of the field. Little untidy load from the Swiss slider. And
I tried my best, thank you for watching.
Started and finished with a little bit of drama. Plenty to tidy up. Next up for Israel, Jared Firestone, 34-year-old in only his 7th World Cup start. Made his World Cup debut in Innsbruck back in January 2020. His most recent World Cups were in Pyeongchang. Raced here once in November 2020. .618 getaway for Jared Firestone. That's the 32nd fastest sled. And once we get down to our 39th slider, Kyle Murray, Axel Jungk will have a 2nd run. I'm not sure what the technical issue was with his first run, but he was absolutely furious with something. There's been a protest by the team about how long he was kept waiting on the block to start the race. But Jared Firestone across the line, 32nd place, 60.84. Jack Thomas helping out with the coaching, former British slider. Well, Jared, an occasional performer in the World Cup, and also just one previous race here as well. Knows much more about the North American tracks. But again, and now there's the drama with the snow. Remember, I was talking right at the beginning about if you get right offline up to the wall, that's where the snow ends up. And if you drive into a snowbank in your car like that, you know exactly what it does. Wrenches the steering out of your hands and drags you into the ditch. That's what it did to him. Next up, Carl Donsberger for Canada. Only his 8th World Cup, has not raced on this track. Made his World Cup debut in Lake Placid in December 2022, but a full-time World Cup start this season. He's been in each of the races. Hasn't made the cut this year. 24th fastest start. Now, don't forget, if Axel Jungk's having a second run, he should, on anybody's metric, make the heat. So you've got to be inside the top 24 at the end to guarantee a second run. At the moment, he is in 24th, ahead of Giovanni Marchetti. Slips outside the top 25. Carl Donsberger, that second heat, eludes him here in Winterberg as well. Whoa! Really falling around at the bottom of the labyrinth. And rolls off the final corner. 59.52. Well, 29th place, not in the second heat. So a little late exit, and then the problem with the lower labyrinth is it all comes at you so fast. The camera shots, particularly the slow motion shots, make it all look so relaxed. It really isn't. When you're stood trackside there, you get a very good indication of just how fast the ice is coming at the athletes. They're flicking from one turn to the next in a heartbeat. Adrian Rodriguez next for Spain. 28-year-old in his 12th World Cup start, our 35th starter this morning. So all the Spanish athletes missed the race in Beijing. Went back home for the launch of a movie about the Spanish Skeleton Federation and its program. 33rd at the start. Made the cut in race 2 in Pyeongchang. It's the only time he's been in the top 25 so far this season. And 30th place as he gets to the Kreisel. Holding his form well. Just a little rub on the wall. 26 best speed. Needs a little more maybe to claw his way into the top 30. 29th best speed, and across the line, 32nd place behind Timon Drahodowski. Xander Mirambel, the driving force of this campaign. Always a little bit of support down at the bottom. There'll be a lot more fans watching at the bottom for the second heat. Tends to be the way. You watch at the start at the beginning and at the finish in heat 2. Just a little slip as he loaded there at the start. So much snow. So Nick Timmings now for Australia. Jeff Payne helping with the sled. 4th World Cup this season for the Aussie. Nick, twin brother Dean, long-time sliding partners. Dean has now moved on to fresher fields. 5:51 getaway for Nick. 27th fastest start. That's giving him an opportunity to make the field. 22nd on the splits. And in the 3 Asian races, made the cut in Pyeongchang and in Beijing. This is a good-looking run so far, out-driving his start. 23rd on the splits. This is really where he needs to be. If he could just claw even 1 position more up the order, that would definitely help. Good speed at the bottom from Nick Timmings of Australia. 23rd at the line. I think that should be enough. 23rd place. And he is our 36th starter. Now don't forget, we will mentally add in Axel Jungk as ratcheting everybody down, so he's slightly in the danger zone still. I have to say, of the 3 remaining sliders, not sure anybody's going to get by him. They had a quiet New Year's Eve. Again, check out the social media. Right, 3 first starters to go. Malaysia's Jonathan Jahr next up. 3rd World Cup of the season for him. Raced in Pyeongchang to 30th and 31st place. .577, 30th best start. Didn't race here in the World Championships either, so again, limited experience of the Winterberg track for the Malaysian slider. And like a number of others, I mean, Nick Timmings, again, you know, Australia's got good history in skeleton, but it's a tiny team, effectively of 1. So too with the Malaysian. Jonathan knows more about the North American tracks than he does about the European ones. 33rd at the start. Top 30 run going on at the moment. How close is he going to be at the end of the track? Whoa! Not a tidy corner 14 at all. 59.97. All right, so no second heat for him, but knowledge loaded into the data banks. And like so many of these younger sliders and sliders from smaller nations, just doing whatever they can on whatever sponsorship they can find to try and build that knowledge, increase their performance, and of course, the big target is going to be the Winter Games in Milan Cortina. 2 to go, Belgium's Colin Freeling, again the track closest to home for him. Raced in the World Championships in February to 23rd place. This is his 6th World Cup of the season. Made the cut in Altenburg. 25th place finish. 5:55 gives him a chance. 29th fastest start, up to 24th on the splits. This needs to be really clean. 25th place, I think, is not going to make it. So at the moment, Giovanni Marchetti is in 25th. I don't think he gets a second heat. Vincent Buff is in 24th. And Colin Freeling ahead of them. Hovering around Livio Sumamata and Nick Timmings, and actually slightly better speed than Nick Timmings as well. Timmings currently 22nd, Freeling just drifting away a fraction. 25th, not quite as quick as Timmings at the bottom. 23rd at the line. 23rd, that's him in, I think. 1 to go, plus Axel Jungk. That should be in for Colin Freeling. 58.47. Well, I'm sure his mum and dad are watching here, and probably the rest of the family as well. The Belgians tend to organise coach trips and group trips to come down here. Not a bad looking run at all from Colin Freeling. Probably much more in his comfort zone here than he was in Asia. And that should be it. Now then, final slider, Kyle Murray for Canada. First World Cup start for Kyle since Altenburg in December. Not December 2024, December 2021 in Altenburg was the last time we saw Kyle Murray in a World Cup jersey. So 6:08 start. Let's see what he's got for us here. Again, a few personnel changes, moving around athletes in the Canadian team, trying to give everybody a taste of World Cup sliding. Until you've got those positions really nailed down, then that makes a lot of sense. If you've got a group of less experienced athletes, you try and dovetail them in, maybe at tracks either that they'll need to learn or that they have got experience of. 36 at the start, slipping out to 38 spot. And across the line in 38. 60.91 slide. And the reason that he's start vest number 39 and is only 38th is that the first man out of the start shed, Axel Jungk, has protested against the way his run was run. Oh, and a little stumble there just as he was going over the lip.
Hello to everybody back home and everybody. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back to Kyle Murray. So Axel Jungk goes again. He was kept waiting a long time at the start, which cooled him down and allowed the start grooves to fill with snow. So the team have protested that, and he gets to go again. So the Axel Jungk fan club, sort of pretty much half of them at the top, half of them down at the bottom, but have probably come back up as well now. So 9th in the World Cup standings, here we go again. First start was a 5:35, 5:36 second start. Going again should give you a better opportunity, doesn't always work that way. 20th fastest start. 21st on the splits. Currently in 25th place is Vincent Boeuf. Giovanni Marchetti out to 26th. So it is Vincent Boeuf or Axel Jungk, and there's no way on God's green earth you think that Axel Jungk doesn't make the cut, but he is only 20th on the splits, 19th now, should be in the race, but nowhere near what his previous form on this track should suggest. 57.89. First run, 57.39. That was half a second slower, and you don't get to choose which one you keep. A rerun means exactly that. The first one never happened. 100 slow at the start, 5/10 slower at the bottom. It's the gamble you take. But he was absolutely livid after the first run. Well, there you go. So Axel Jungk is in the second heat. And unfortunately for him, that means Vincent Buff is not. Nick Timmings clings on in 25th place. So the Axel Jungk fan club will get to see their Dortmunder hero again. Alex certainly was furioso after the first heat, but instead of a German-dominated podium, we have Sammy Maier of Austria leading after the first of our 2 heats. Oh my goodness, Sammy Maier. Well, no question, third off, he had outstanding ice conditions, but you could give those to me and I wouldn't be able to do anything with them. You need to be able to handle the sled. He leads by 400s from Matt Weston, with Vladislav Heraskevych in third, 200s ahead of Christopher Groothair. Felix Keisinger, 400s ahead of Mattia Gaspari. What an unusual top half dozen. And Lucas Neidegger is going to have to come back some. He's nearly half a second out of the top half dozen. Some very big and some tiny gaps in the field. This track often produces very close racing indeed. And Nick Timmings, 25th place from Australia. He is our final slider to make the cut. So for Vincent Buff, Giovanni Marchetti, Vladislav Polivac, and 2 of our 3 rookies, then it is no, in fact, no, Nick Tucker made it in, so 2 of our 3 rookies don't get a second heat. Now, the second heat comes up at 11:15 local, 10:15 GMT, 05:15 Eastern, and that is in 20 minutes from now. We'll see you then for the final 25 slides of the men's skeleton competition.